Hello and welcome to the Office of Fellowship's Fulbright Application Writing Workshop. My name is Christina Medlock. I am the Graduate Professional Assistant for the office. Our Senior Director of Fellowships is Dr. Lenitra Berger, and we have two writing specialists, Mr. Zachary Barnes and Ms. Daniel D.T. Shatton. If you have any questions or would like to schedule an initial inquiry interview, please email me at pgfs@gmu.edu. The Fulbright itself is comprised of two essays. They're going to differ depending on whether you're applying for a research or an ETA grant. Both the research and the ETA have a personal statement. This personal statement is a one-typed single-spaced page essay with 1-inch margins, 12-point times font, and has a preferred upload in PDF. This is because when we are downloading them, sometimes the formatting changes. With a PDF, we don't have to worry about that. With your statement of grant purpose, this is going to be dependent upon whether or not you are applying for a research or an ETA. If you're applying for a research grant, this is a two-typed single-spaced pages essay with 1-inch margins, 12-point times font, and again, that PDF format. For the ETA, there's only one typed page for your statement of grant purpose. Again, you have your 1-inch margins, your 12-point times New Roman font, and the PDF formatting. For your personal statement, which is the same across both the research and the ETA, it is very important that you're personal. This is your only opportunity to describe who you are to the reviewers. This is your only chance to be an authentic, true voice for the Fulbright and expressing yourself in a more casual tone than you do during your statement of grant. We want to know who you are and what you want to accomplish. Please don't be too personal. You don't need to include super embarrassing details or horrific stories. If you want to feel comfortable saying this in a job interview, it's probably too personal for you to include in your personal statement. Be compelling and easy to read. Many of the reviewers for the Fulbright are non-native English speakers. So if you're very heavy with jargon or you're using High Queen's English, it makes it very difficult to read, tedious even, and they want to throw it to the side in the nay pile. You also have to realize you're among thousands of applicants who are applying for only a couple hundred at max spaces. So you need to keep it compelling and interesting and bright. Otherwise, it just gets bogged down. You're one of the dozens who are, okay, this is an okay essay, and you're set to the side and you're not going to make it through the first round. You need to describe why the Fulbright is the next logical step for you. Why is now the right time for you to be going on the Fulbright? Are you about to embark on your master's journey and this is what you want to do in order to have that strong foundation for your master's or for your PhD? Do you really want to work for the State Department, or do you really want to teach in low-income areas or just teach in general? Why is the Fulbright going to enhance that, and why is right now the right time for you to go on your Fulbright? What unique perspective are you going to bring to the Fulbright? Are you a first-generation student? Are you the first person in your family to ever go to college? Those are all important things that you can highlight and that bring a unique perspective. Are you from mixed heritage? Are you part of the LGBTQ community? Those are all things that give you a unique perspective that can set you apart in your application. You need to reference your cultural exchange. The whole purpose of the Fulbright is that you're engaging in some sort of cultural exchange. So we need to understand what it is that you want to do and why it's important to you and how it's really going to impact you as well as the community, and how you're going to take that experience back to the United States once you've finished the Fulbright. Refer directly to the Fulbright opportunity. They know what award you're applying for, so you don't need to beat around the bush. Say, when I'm a Fulbright candidate, I plan to do this. Or when I'm on my Fulbright experience, I want to do this. For your statement of grant purpose, specifically for the research, this needs to have your well-defined research question and plan. We need to know exactly what you're going to do with your research time and with the money and with the resources that you're being provided by Fulbright. And if you can give us a rough estimate of the time that you plan to spend on certain activities. So when you first arrive in the country, you want to do this. You want to go out into the field and gather your materials. And then towards the middle of your grant, you're going to be spending it in the lab. It's okay to reference the lab, to reference people that you're going to be working with in that lab or that area. That's great. You can say that you plan when you come back to write most of your research, or that you're going to engage with some of the local archives while you're there so that you're starting that research and writing while you're on your grant. Mention any completed background research that you've done. Is this a project that you started in your undergraduate? Is this something that's carrying over from your master's that's going to help you complete it and write your thesis or your dissertation if this is a PhD style project? If you've already have something that's published, go ahead and mention just the title. You don't need to give a full citation. Any research that you've already completed and had published. Make sure that you're aware of the current literature. You can name drop here and say, based off of so-and-so's research, this is how I want to expand it. This is where I think this project is super vital because XYZ has done such and such, and this is where my research can really fill in some gaps in the knowledge area. Make sure you're able to answer the 5 W's of a project: who, what, where, when, and why. Who? Who are you working with? Are you working with a nonprofit or a university? What? What's your question? What's your research design? What's the purpose of this? Where? Why is this country that you're choosing the only country that's going to support your research? Again, talk about your timeline with when and why. Why is this so integral to you? Is it part of understanding these knowledge gaps? Is it going to lead to a future career? These are all things that you can highlight in your research statement of grant purpose. Make the connection to your university affiliation. So with the research grant and with the research Fulbright, you're required to have a letter of affiliation. This letter is very brief. It's 1 to 2 pages, and it's from the university affiliate, or it could be a nonprofit that you're working with saying, yes, you have a place at our university, or yes, you have a place in our nonprofit, and we welcome you to do your research here. It doesn't have to be very long, but make sure you highlight that you've already spoken with somebody. You can again name drop here and say, I've spoken with so-and-so at this university, and I'm going to be working with them to continue their research while conducting my own. Connect to both your shorter and longer term academic and career goals. When you get back, what is your next step? Like your first year? Are you going to go directly into your PhD or finish up your PhD program? And what's your 5-year plan? Is this to help you get into a career that's in academia, or maybe it's with the State Department? So talk about those things and how the Fulbright is vital to you making those next choices and next steps in your life. Again, refer directly back to the Fulbright opportunity. For the statement of grant purpose for ETA, you need to refer directly to the country requirements. So when you go onto the website, there is a whole list of different countries, and each one is going to tell you what is expected of their ETAs. It could be that you're willing to work in very rural areas, or that you're willing to work with small communities or children who are very young, all the way up to those who are in their college years just getting English prep. So make sure that you're aware of those and mention why that this country and these students are the best students for you. Discuss any relevant tutoring and teaching experience. It doesn't always have to be formal. If it is formal, always highlight it. And if it's informal, you can highlight it too. If you've sat down with another student and you've talked them through how to do a math problem, or talked and had a strong discussion based off of a reading, congratulations, you've done a lot of informal tutoring and teaching. It's okay to highlight that. Describe your cultural connection project. You are going to be required to have that interaction with your host community, with your students, and with your host family. So there's a project that you need to do, whether it's bringing in books that are very American and discuss American culture, or we've had students that have brought the American football. And that was a way to engage the students in their community with an American type of thing. And engage with them. And then the children made their own game, and they were able to bring that experience and what the children did back and talk about that type of community exchange. It can also be something as simple as knitting. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physical game or a reading circle. Those are used a lot because it's very easy to discuss, oh, I'm going to read with the students to really engage with them. Well, you can do other things too, but you need to talk about how you want to make that connection. You need to discuss why you selected this country, and we need to understand why that this country is the right fit for you. If you don't mention the country or you don't mention why it's a great fit, chances are this is going to fall flat and your application is going to be set to the side. So really highlight why this country is the best fit for you. Describe how you're going to contribute to the cultural exchange and mutual understanding. Think back to that cultural connection project, okay? How are you going to exchange with the community? Are they going to be able to give you anything back? And are you going to have a better understanding of yourself and of them when you're done with this project? Highlight that. Connect to both your shorter and longer term academic and career goals again. Why is teaching in an ETA important to you? Why is teaching overall important to you? Is this because you want to be a teacher? Is this because you want to work in low-income communities? Do you want to work for the national government or the UN? Like, these are things that you can talk about when you're in your ETA statement of grant purpose. Refer again directly to the Fulbright opportunity. They want to know why the Fulbright is the right award for you. There are so many awards out there, so why are you choosing Fulbright? There are some style differences between the essays. As we mentioned before, the personal statement is the statement where you're going to let your authentic voice shine. So you need to have a little bit of individual style in there. With that being said, be conversational, but still use your formal and professional language. Don't use high Queen's English and a lot of jargon because it's just going to get set to the side. But, engage the reader with your writing. With your grant statement, it is a lot more straightforward. It is a discussion of your work and your plan, so it's going to be more formal tone. Again, try not to use heavy jargon in there or really specific words to your field. Again, these reviewers may not be native English speakers and likely they're not working in your field, so if you use a lot of super hardcore science language, they may not have any idea what you're talking about. So try to avoid using those. There are some strategies for writing success. Think carefully about your motives when applying, and this should be something that you're doing just before you even think about applying for the Fulbright. Why are you applying? And then it'll help direct you in your writing. Contextualize the Fulbright in your educational path. Think about how the Fulbright is a culmination of what you've done before and is the beginning of your next steps. Be prepared to write multiple drafts. Our most successful candidates in the Office of Fellowships have upwards of 10 drafts that have gone back and forth between the writing statement specialists, as well as our senior director, Dr. Berger. So be prepared to have lots of feedback. It's going to be critical. Some of it's going to be really harsh because we want you to be successful. You need to start early and write often. The application for Fulbright opens in mid-April, and we have a campus deadline to start and commit to submitting your application by July 1. During this time, don't sit on your haunches doing nothing. You need to be writing. You can begin, as soon as you start your application, you can begin working with your writing specialists. Write often. Try and write at least once a week. Take a look at it, write some stuff, set it down for a couple days, come back, reread and rewrite. Having that critical outlook on what you're doing and looking at it over multiple days and times and in different mind frames will really help solidify whether or not you've got your authentic voice and whether or not you're saying what you want to say and convey in your application essays. Share your work with the FPA, writing specialists, and your faculty mentors. You don't have to use just us. You can also use the resources on George Mason's campus, and we definitely encourage you to talk and reach out to your faculty mentors. Hopefully these are the people that you're writing your letters of recommendation. You should be sending them your statement of grant as well as your personal statement, so that way they have a better understanding of why and what you're doing when you're going on your ETA, and will help direct them in their letter of recommendation for you. Avoid overuse of common phrases. I'm very passionate about travel. When I win this, I'm hopeful. Those are all horrible phrases to use in either your research grant, your ETA grant, or your personal statement. They're overused, they're super common, we don't care. Everyone likes to travel, it's a lot of fun, we get it. But why is the Fulbright the experience that you need to move on with your career? Don't be afraid of feedback. As I mentioned before, a lot of the feedback you're going to receive can be really harsh and critical. It can actually dismantle some of the whole purpose behind what your research project is. Take it, internalize it for a second, and then let it go, and then rewrite. It's really important that you don't stop there because you got some really harsh feedback. That is the nature of academia. It is very hard for a reason. And always proofread, always, always, always proofread. When we have our campus committee that meets in September, we do tend to catch a lot of little to bitty typos, periods where there shouldn't be, commas, things like that. And we've had students that have had multiple eyes on it, and just there's still a couple proofreading errors. But always make sure you're proofreading. There are questions that your essays should answer. When looking at your application essays, do they answer the following? Your goal and qualifications. Do we know why you want to go on the Fulbright? Do we know why the Fulbright is the only award that's going to fit you and your time frame right now? And are you qualified? Do you meet the basic language requirements? Is your research project of a caliber that would be successful in the country or the time in your academic career? What will you gain and what will you bring? What is the importance of this? What are you going to bring as your cultural exchange? And what are you going to get back when you come back to the United States and re-engage with a different community? Why is this country the right fit? Oftentimes this is highly overlooked, but we need to know why you chose Romania over Mexico or Romania over Bulgaria. Why are these countries, or why is this country the right fit for you? Why is now the right time? This is really important. Why are you going at the end of your undergraduate career and not in the middle of your master's or in the middle of your PhD? Are you starting on that route? Are you looking to go directly into the workforce? We need to know why now is the right time for you to apply and go on the Fulbright. You need to ask yourself if the reader really learned who you are. Again, this is often the only time you're going to have that interaction with the reader and with the Fulbright committee before you're actually awarded your Fulbright. So you need to make sure that they understand who you are, because this is how they're going to place you in the country. So if you have multiple cities that you could be in, or a rural community over a more urban center, they need to know based off of your writing whether you're going to be a good fit for one or the other, or potentially both. Is your project or interaction capable of being completed in the 6 to 12 months that these grants are? If you have a project that's really going to take you like 3 years, this isn't the right opportunity for you. But if you have a project that's going to take 9 months and you're going to be able to collect all of your information and data and move forward with your research and with your life, great. Fulbright is a viable opportunity, an option. But if your community is going to be like, oh, I want to watch these children grow up, well, you're only there for 6 to 9 months. There's only so much growing that children can do. And again, you are an ambassador to the United States. Are you going to be a good ambassador to the United States? So thank you so much for watching this presentation on the Fulbright essays. If you have any questions, please email me at the pgfs@gmu.edu email address, and you can start your application on the usfulbrightonline.org, which is the US Fulbright website. There are a couple deadlines. We have July 1, which is the deadline to start your application and to be considered with a university endorsement. September 15th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time is our campus deadline, where both your essays, your letters of affiliation, and your letters of recommendation are due. And then there's the second Tuesday in October of every year at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, which is the national deadline. Thank you so much. And again, if you have questions or would like to talk about any other fellowships, please email pgfs@gmu.edu.